pump the brakes. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at what's transpiring, if you pay attention to what is going on, and you really, really watch, you're seeing a Toronto Raptors team that seems to have figured something out. Kawhi Leonard is hobbled. He's not himself. Doesn't matter. Kyle Lowry drops 25. Kawhi Leonard is not himself, not the offensive juggernaut that he has been throughout these playoffs. Doesn't matter. Marc Gasol suddenly has hit 3. He's hit 7 3-pointers in the last 2 games. Games 3 and 4, Marc Gasol has hit 7 3-pointers. Then you got a situation where you're looking at guys like Norman Powell. Shot 13 3-pointers, only hit 4, but damn was he aggressive. You look at Fred VanVleet, he hit a couple of threes. You look at the production off the bench. Overall, Milwaukee got outscored 48-23. Brogdon got held to 4 points. Ilyasova was a non-factor. Danny Green, what was he doing? And still Toronto won. Eric Bledsoe has not been impressive, to say the least. And Toronto has now notched the series. Now, if you pay attention, you see what has transpired. And what has transpired is very, very simple. Whether it's Brook Lopez, whether it's Mirotic, I don't know why I keep mispronouncing his name, Mirotic. Whether it was Ursaya's Ilyasova, you put these guys in situations where they got a guard, you switch, and you make sure they're guarding somebody on the ball. They can't do it. They can't do it. And as a result, it's problematic for the Milwaukee Bucks in terms of what they want to do defensively. They're compromised because of it. It makes them tight offensively, and there you have it. They look like a shell of themselves, fully incapable of doing whatever it takes. This is what we're looking at when we're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks right now. And the only thing, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, that looks good for you right now is that Kawhi Leonard may not be healthy. He may have done damage to that left leg. We don't know yet. But he was hobbled all last night. And somehow, some way, you got to figure it out.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Like that beat. Like that beat. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Life's special events. Call for a beautiful bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you order a dozen Gabbera daisies for $29.99, you'll also get a free vase. For details, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. 888-SAY-ESPN is always the number to call up. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Before I get to the calls, one other point I wanted to bring up, because I got Brian Windhorst coming on to start off hour number 2, so we can get back into the NBA at that particular moment in time. Plus, I'll take some of your phone calls prior to that. But I want to also bring up Dak Prescott. Look, we all know that I can't stand Cowboy fans. I don't really hate the Cowboys. I got a lot of love for the Dak Prescotts of the world, and Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. Those are my buddies. I reckon I'm right. How y'all doing? So I got no issues with the Dallas Cowboys. But your fan base is so disgusting, so nauseating. I just can't stand Dallas Cowboy fans. Y'all make me want to vomit. I can't stand y'all. Y'all make me sick. Dallas Cowboy fans everywhere. And by the way, there's even some in Toronto. I'm in Milwaukee today, but there's even some in Toronto. But there was one in Milwaukee that came by the hotel. Stephen A., how about them Cowboys in Milwaukee? In Milwaukee. And then I saw one in Toronto, Canada. I don't even have an NFL team out there. It's a CFL. Well, I mean, why aren't you talking to me about the Argonauts or whatever the hell they are? Okay? Why the hell are you talking to me about the Dallas Cowboys? But they're everywhere. They're like cockroaches, Dallas Cowboy fans. Like cockroaches. A nuclear bomb can drop. And somehow, some way, a Dallas Cowboy fan will come crawling out of the rubble. They just make me sick. Can't stand them. However, has nothing to do with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is completed 66% of his passes for his career, 67% last year. He's taken them to the playoffs 2 of the 3 years he's been a starting quarterback for this franchise. Dak Prescott has been great. Not great as a football player. He's coming into his own. But when you consider the brand that is the Cowboys, the circus that has been perpetually synonymous with them, and you see this man's level of production, his leadership, his class, his composure, etc., there's no denying that Dak Prescott deserves his money. I don't want to hear salary cap then. When Jay Cutler could once get $26 million. Matthew Stafford was once the highest paid quarterback in football at $27 million. Matt Ryan, he's great, but he's never won a Super Bowl, making $30 million. You could give Dak Prescott 25. Not 20. You could give Dak Prescott $25 million a year. Show this man the respect and deference he is due. Because I got to tell you something. It's asking a lot for somebody to be the face of the Dallas Cowboys franchise and to conduct themselves the way that he does. Dak Prescott deserves his money. Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, my buddies. Dak Prescott deserves his money. Cap or no damn cap. Figure it out. Figure it out. Especially when you look at the NFC East. Dwayne Haskins is a rookie. Eli Manning is old. And Carson Wentz is perpetually injured. I'm just saying. This is Dak Prescott, by the way, talking to the media about the very contract situation he's dealing with right now. Listen up.
Have you guys submitted a counter proposal yet to the Cowboys' initial offer?
Yes. You seem to know everything, so you tell me.
How close were you guys initially?
I can't really say on that. I mean, it's one from each side, so it's my first time doing this. Ask me in a few years, and I'll know. I'll be able to tell you, okay, we've sent this one, they've sent this one, we're about to get it done. But as right now, I'm learning the process to it and just letting my team handle their business.
Just fixing my mic here because my mic popped off. But listen to this, y'all. Here's the reality of the situation, okay? You star quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. You're 25 years old. The upside is tremendous. Big boy, he's never missed a game. Durability is no question. Give him his money. Give him his money. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's get right to it. Let's go to Keith. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Keith?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen A.? I wanted to talk about the Game 5 tonight between the Bucs and the Raptors, and I think that there's something that's a big factor in that game that not a lot of people are, talking about. Back in December, anybody who's anybody in the game of basketball knows that Matthew Dellavedova was traded from the Milwaukee Bucks back to the Cavaliers. And I think that's really going to be a factor in tonight's game. Kawhi Leonard has been a defensive presence all over Giannis, and I think the Bucks lack that without Matthew Dellavedova.
Stop,
and we all
right
know.
Stop! You sat on hold and called me. Me, Stephen A. Smith here. You called me on national television and national radio to talk about an Eastern Conference Finals matchup. And with Kawhi and the Greek Freak and Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka and Brooke Lopez and George Hill and Chris Middleton and Malcolm Brogdon and all of these boys. You called this show to talk about Matthew Dellavedova?
Hey,
am I hearing you correctly?
You heard me 100% loud and clear. I went to the Hornets-Cavs game this December, and it was a Cavs team that was hurting. You know why? Because Matthew Dellavedova was not playing. It was a team that lacked soul, a team that lacked spark, and I think Matthew Dellavedova brings that to any team he plays, diving out for loose balls, strapping up the best player on any team.
So let me ask you
and
this
giving heart
question.
and
Let me ask you
hustle
this question.
all
Let me ask you this
100%
question. Oh, be quiet. Zip it. Let me ask you this question. Who would you replace Matthew Dellavedova with if you were the Milwaukee
probably
Bucks?
Kawhi. That's
No,
the
no, no.
only
I didn't
person
say
that
who.
can play better.
I didn't say who would. I didn't say who would guard Kawhi. I said who would you take off the Bucks to keep him on the Bucks for and play? Who would that person be?
Anybody besides Giannis. He's the second
Goodbye.
best player.
Goodbye. I'm not listening to you. That's just ignorant. That's just ignorant. Just ignorant. Just flat out ignorant. Now tell me, Eric Bledsoe. I'd have listened to you. See, I tested your basketball knowledge there. You know why? Because Eric Bledsoe, although he's been voted first team All-NBA defensively, the fact of the matter is he hasn't been impressive offensively in this series at all, really. So had you told me that, I would have listened. Because you certainly don't have a place replacing Malcolm Brogdon. You ain't going to have a replacing Chris Middleton. You sat up there and said anybody but Giannis. Jonathan Nuno, ban that man from calling this show for a week. I don't want to hear his voice again the rest of this week. For the rest of this series, okay? Series ends at the latest Monday night. I don't want to hear from Keith again until the series is over. Because that's just ignorant. Just ignorant. Jason, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
How you doing, Jason? How you doing, Stephen?
No, you're Jason.
My name is Jason.
What's up?
Yeah, I know. So I work
I
for
don't know
Mike
why y'all
Tyson's
feel the
cannabis
need to
company.
come on and say your name. I introduce you. That's how you get on the line. I don't know why y'all feel the need to repeat the name.
I screwed up.
Get it together. Let's go.
So
Let's go.
All right. So I work for Mike Tyson's cannabis company, and I was listening to you talk about the recreational use.
Mike
I
Tyson
am
has
not
a
a
cannabis
smoker.
company. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It's called Tyson Ranch, based out of Los Angeles, and I actually work in the event. Dan Levitard was actually just went to the music festival that I produced, and part of my job is, I sell booze and I promote cannabis. And I work very closely with the police department in Desert Hot Springs to produce these events. And the music festival that we did in February had only 2 incidents with over 5,500 people that attended, and the 2 incidents were alcohol related.
So what's your point?
So my point is that for the recreational use, it sounds like you're demonizing it, and
yes, I am.
it's actually a lot safer.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop. You see, it's people like you that annoy me because you're misrepresenting my position. I don't have a problem with recreational use. I have a problem with recreational use by the athlete while they're playing. I have not been demonizing recreational use of marijuana overall. I'm only talking about a professional athlete using it and being allowed to recreationally while they've been obligated to perform. That's the difference. I'm not talking about you. If you decide, I got family members that smoke weed, bro. I'm not judging. I'm saying a professional athlete, an athlete, period, while in the throes of performing, meaning during a season, for example, being allowed to recreationally use marijuana. I am opposed to that. How do you feel about that? Don't talk to me about recreational use like you just sitting on your couch or you running concerts or you having meetings or whatever. I'm talking about having to go on a field or court of play and perform while being allowed to use recreational use of marijuana. How do you feel about that?
But couldn't that apply to anything? It could apply to alcohol.
I'm not asking. I don't want to hear that. Hold on. What? Do you want a dial tone or do you want to answer my question? Do you want a dial tone or do you want to answer my question? Pick one. Because I asked you a direct question. I didn't ask you to give me a question. I asked you a direct question. Do you propose talk to me about an athlete while playing being allowed to recreationally use marijuana?
100% they should not be allowed to use marijuana when they are on the field. I 100% agree with that. After the event, after their sporting thing, and they want to go home and use in the comfort of their house or out with their buddies, 100% they should be able to use it.
Okay, I can live with that. I don't necessarily totally agree with that, particularly with NBA players, because you're playing, like, for example, every other night. A football player, you got a full week off usually, unless the Thursday night game or whatever. How about this? I could say to you, I don't think marijuana use should be allowed recreationally 48 hours before any competitive contest.
I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't speak to that, whether 48 hours, 24 hours, 12 hours, I don't know.
Okay. That's fair. That's
but
fair.
I don't think that's for either you or me to decide, but if there's somebody who actually understands the biology.
Hell yes it is. If I'm a paying customer, this is what I don't want. Period. And I don't have to justify that. But I got to go. I appreciate the call, though. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Everybody walking around puffing and passing, all high and zooted and all of this other stuff. But I'm supposed to have faith in your ability to perform. Could you imagine a disaster if you are a paying customer and you out there freezing in a frozen tundra, or you out there burning in the heat of Southern California and you've been waiting for this contest and all of this other stuff, and LeBron James comes to town or Tom Brady comes to town and your team is going up against them and your player is high? Could you imagine an uproar over that? Could you imagine what advertisers and sponsors would feel about that? Y'all must be crazy. Y'all got to be crazy. I'm serious. Something wrong with you people. Something wrong with y'all. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, if you missed any of my opening segment, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, hey, what's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC.